Marcus arrived at the cemetery exactly at midnight, just as they knew he would. Maya watched from inside the tomb as he approached the mausoleum, his flashlight cutting through the dark. He looked terrible. Unshaven, his clothes rumpled, his movements jerky with obsessive energy. "Maya," he called out, his voice echoing between the tombstones. "I know you're in there. I know you're hiding. Please, just come out. We can talk about this." "Let him in," Maya said. Damien nodded. He reached out with his power, and the chains on the door fell away. The heavy marble door swung open, revealing absolute darkness beyond. No blue-gold light. No hint of what waited inside. Just shadow. Marcus hesitated at the threshold. "Maya?" His voice was smaller now. Uncertain. "Come in, Marcus," Maya's voice echoed from the depths. "If you want to talk, come inside." He entered. The door slammed shut behind him. The darkness lifted gradually, revealing the throne room in all its terrible glory, the vast ceiling showing void and stars. The throne carved from black stone, the army of spirits lining the walls, their eyes gleaming in the shadows. And on the throne, Damien. He'd allowed his power to manifest fully. Death magic swirled around him like a cloak. His eyes glowed faintly silver. He looked ancient and powerful, and absolutely inhuman. Beside the throne stood Maya, in her blue and gold dress, her chin high, her expression calm. At Damien's feet sat Eliza, her light form bright and impossible. Marcus stumbled backward. "What? What is this?" "This is where I live now," Maya said calmly. "This is what you've been trying to force your way into. Welcome to the kingdom between life and death." "You need help," Marcus said, his voice rising. "You've been kidnapped. Brainwashed. These things aren't real. They're hallucinations. I'm here to save you." "I don't need saving," Maya said. "I need you to leave me alone." Damien spoke, and his voice resonated with power. "Maya Thorne is under my protection. She came to this place seeking sanctuary from you, from your harassment, from your obsession. She has been granted permanent refuge here. You have no claim to her, no right to pursue her, no authority to demand her return." "Who the hell are you?" Marcus demanded, but his bravado was cracking. Fear crept into his eyes. "I am King Damien Ashcroft," Damien replied. "Necromancer, master of death. And I am telling you that if you continue to pursue Maya, if you ever try to contact her again, if you so much as think about forcing your way into her life, you will learn exactly what a necromancer can do to the living. Those are not empty threats." Marcus looked at Maya. "This is insane. You can't actually believe. Come home with me. We'll get you help." "Will, this is my home," Maya interrupted. "I chose it. Not because I was forced. Not because I'm confused. I chose it because here, I'm safe. Here, I'm valued. Here, people respect my boundaries instead of trampling them. But I care about you," Marcus said desperately. "I was trying to protect you. You were stalking me," Maya said flatly. "Following me, leaving things at my apartment, taking pictures of me without permission, showing up at my work, waiting by my car, making me afraid to exist in my own life. That's not caring. That's obsession." "I was just persistent," Marcus argued. "I knew if I could just make you understand." "Make me understand what?" Maya demanded. "That you refused to accept no for an answer? That you decided you knew what I wanted better than I did? That you would force your presence into my life until I gave in from exhaustion or fear?" The spirits along the walls began to move, coordinated, just as Eliza had taught them. They appeared and disappeared in waves, creating an effect like breathing shadows. Like the room itself was alive and watching. Marcus spun around, his flashlight beam catching translucent faces that smiled with too many teeth. "Stop it," he shouted, Stop trying to scare me. This isn't real." "It's very real," Eliza said, flickering to stand directly in front of Marcus. Her light form brightened until he had to shield his eyes. "And you're very unwelcome. My daddy can do terrible things to people who threaten his family. Would you like to see?" "No," Damien said gently. "That's not necessary, little star. He's going to leave now. He's going to understand that Maya has made her choice, and he's going to respect it. Aren't you, Marcus?" Marcus backed toward the door. His eyes were wild. "This is a trick. Hallucinations. Gas leak or something. You can't." Maya moved down the steps from the throne. She walked across the vast room with measured grace, every step deliberate. When she reached Marcus, she looked him directly in the eyes. "I am going to say this once," she said. Her voice was steady, clear, powerful. "Leave me alone. Stop looking for me. Stop telling people I need rescuing. Stop constructing narratives where you're the hero and I'm the confused victim. I left your life by choice. I stay gone by choice. If you truly cared about me the way you claim, you would respect my decision. But you don't care about me. You care about the version of me you invented, the one who smiles when you want, who appreciates your attention, who needs you. That person doesn't exist. I don't need you. I don't want you in my life. And if you try to force your way back in, there will be consequences." Marcus's face cycled through emotions. Denial, anger, fear, desperation. Finally, something that might have been understanding. "This is really what you want?" he asked. "To stay here with this?" "Yes," Maya said. "This is exactly what I want." "Then you're insane," Marcus said. His fear was curdling into rage. "I tried to help you. I tried to be patient. But you're damaged. Broken. No wonder you ended up here with monsters. You deserve each other." Damien was off his throne in an instant. He moved faster than human, covering the distance in a blink. He didn't touch Marcus, but he loomed over him, death magic swirling like smoke. "Speak to her like that again," he said quietly, "and you will learn what broken truly means." Marcus fled. He scrambled for the door, threw himself through it, and ran into the cemetery beyond. They heard his footsteps pounding away, heard his car start, heard tires squeal as he sped into the night. The door swung closed on its own. Damien's power settled. The throne room's dramatic lighting normalized. Eliza flickered back to her normal brightness. The spirits resumed their usual drifting. Maya stood in the center of the room, trembling. Not with fear. With release. Years of tension flowing out of her like water from a broken dam. "Did I do okay?" she asked. "You were magnificent," Damien said. He crossed to her, took her hands. "You were strong and clear and absolutely certain. He'll never bother you again." "How do you know?" Maya asked. "Because he's a coward," Eliza said bluntly. "Bullies always are. He only felt powerful when you were afraid. Now that you're not, now that you have protection, he has nothing. He'll tell himself you were crazy and move on. Construct a story where he's better off. But he'll leave you alone." Maya sagged slightly. Damien caught her, supported her weight. "It's done," he said gently. "You faced him. You set your boundary. You're free now." "Free," Maya repeated. The word felt strange, huge. She'd been running from Marcus for so long, letting his obsession dictate her choices. Now it was over. "I'm free." She started laughing. Relief and joy and hysteria mixed together. "I'm free." She spun in a circle, her dress flaring out. "I'm free, and I chose to stay here anyway. I chose you. I chose this family. I chose the kingdom between." "That's the best kind of freedom," Damien said. "Choice. Agency. knowing you could leave, but deciding to stay. Maya threw her arms around him, held him tight. Damien froze for only a moment before returning the embrace, solid and safe and real. "Thank you," she whispered into his shoulder, "for protection, for power, for believing me when I said I was in danger, for giving me a place to be safe while I found my strength. Thank you for teaching me to hope again," Damien replied, "for showing me that death doesn't have to mean the end, for being alive in a way that reminded me what living meant." Eliza joined the hug, her warm light wrapping around both of them. "This is nice," she declared. "Family hugs should happen more often." "Agreed," Maya said. "Group hug rule. At least once a week." "I don't make rules," Damien protested weakly. "You're the king," Eliza pointed out. "You absolutely make rules." "Then I decree," Damien said with mock solemnity, "that family hugs are mandatory weekly." "All in favor?" Maya and Eliza both made affirmative sounds. The spirits along the walls flickered in what might have been applause. "Motion carried," Damien said, and smiled. A real smile, warm and genuine and alive. They broke apart eventually. Maya felt lighter than she had in years. The weight of fear gone. The burden of being pursued lifted. She was free. And she'd chosen exactly where she wanted to be. "So what now?" she asked. "Now," Eliza said, "we continue building the kingdom. There are more spirits arriving every day. More people finding the bridge between life and death. We have work to do. And," Damien added, "I'd like to teach you necromancy, if you're interested." Maya stared at him. "Really? You're the life anchor," he explained. "You have natural ability to work with life force. If you learn to balance that with death magic the way I do, you could become powerful in your own right, not dependent on my protection. Able to defend yourself and others. I'd like that." Maya said, "Teaching me your magic. Working together as equals, partners," Damien agreed. "In magic and in building this kingdom. Maybe in other things too, if you'd like." He looked uncertain, vulnerable in a way that made Maya's heart ache. "I'd like that very much," Maya said softly. Eliza made a sound of delight. "Finally. I've been waiting for you two to figure this out for weeks. We've been focused on other things," Damien said defensively. "You've been dancing around each other," Eliza corrected. "But that's okay. You needed time. Now you have forever." "Forever," Maya repeated. It should have sounded terrifying. An eternity in a tomb. But it didn't. It sounded like possibility, like safety, like home. They returned to the throne room's normal configuration. Damien showed Maya the basics of death magic, how to sense it, how to pull it, how to shape it without letting it consume her. She showed him how she worked with life force, how she'd been doing it instinctively all along, without realizing. Together, they created small pockets of balanced magic, blue and gold swirling together, life and death in harmony. "This is what the kingdom runs on," Damien explained. "This balance. As long as we maintain it, as long as both anchors hold, this place can exist, grow, become more. And we have help now," Maya said, looking at the spirits who'd regained awareness. "They can learn to work the magic too, create their own pockets of balance, expand the kingdom further." "Exactly," Damien said. "We're building something unprecedented, a realm that exists outside normal rules, where death isn't an ending and life isn't the only option, where people can choose to exist in the between." "It's beautiful," Maya said, "and strange and impossible and absolutely real. Just like us." "Just like us," Damien agreed. He took her hand, and together they walked through their kingdom. Past the throne room, through the library, into the garden where living and dead plants grew together. Spirits greeted them as they passed, waving or bowing, or simply smiling. Children played with blocks that existed and didn't exist simultaneously. Artists created works from shadow and light. Musicians played instruments that made sounds only those between could hear. This is home, Maya thought. This impossible place between life and death. This kingdom, built on grief and hope and magic, that shouldn't work, but does. This family cobbled together from a necromancer, a ghost child, and a runaway waitress. She couldn't imagine being anywhere else. 3 months after Marcus's confrontation, the kingdom had grown beyond anything Maya could have imagined. What had started as a single tomb, with a handful of spirits, had expanded into a vast realm. Corridors branched into territories, each one maintained by spirits who'd chosen their own purposes. The artist's quarter bloomed with impossible colors. The library had become a maze of knowledge from every era. The garden sprawled across acres that couldn't physically fit beneath the cemetery but did anyway, because the between played by different rules. Maya had changed too. She'd learned to manipulate death magic under Damien's patient instruction, though it never came as naturally to her as life force. She could create small pockets of balance on her own now, could sense when the kingdom's equilibrium shifted, could help maintain the structure that kept their realm stable. More importantly, she'd learned to be happy. Actually, genuinely happy. Not the performative happiness she'd worn like armor in the living world, but real contentment that came from being seen, valued, and chosen every single day. She worked alongside Damien managing the kingdom. They'd fallen into an easy partnership, dividing responsibilities, consulting each other on decisions, building something together. Sometimes their hands would brush while working. Sometimes they'd sit close enough to share warmth and coolness. Sometimes Damien would look at her like she was the most remarkable thing in any realm. Neither had named what was growing between them. Neither needed to. It was there in every shared smile, every comfortable silence, every moment of working in perfect synchronization. Eliza, of course, had opinions about their unspoken relationship. "You should kiss," she announced one day while they were cataloging new arrivals. "Eliza," Damien said, his voice strained. "That's inappropriate." "Why?" Eliza asked. "You like her. She likes you. You stare at each other when you think the other isn't looking. Just kiss already." Maya laughed despite her embarrassment. "She has a point." "I absolutely do not stare," Damien protested. "You absolutely do," Maya and Eliza said simultaneously. Damien's pale complexion couldn't hide his flush. "Fine. Perhaps I've noticed that Maya is remarkable. And perhaps I've considered. That is." He trailed off helplessly. Eliza giggled, her light flickering with mirth. "You're cute when you're flustered, Daddy. I thought you couldn't be embarrassed anymore." "Apparently I was wrong," Damien muttered. Maya took pity on him. "How about we table the kissing discussion and focus on the actual problem?" "What problem?" Eliza asked. "We have a problem?" "We have an opportunity," Damien corrected, clearly grateful for the subject change. "The kingdom has grown large enough that we need to consider formal structure. Rules. Governance. We can't just improvise forever." "We've been doing fine with improvisation," Maya said. "Have we?" Damien pulled out a list. Last week, the artists flooded the musicians' quarter with paint that exists only in memory. The week before, the children discovered they could phase through walls and started appearing in private spaces uninvited. Yesterday, 3 spirits got into an argument about whether emotions from life continue in death and nearly destabilized the eastern wing. "Oh," Maya said. "Right. Problems. We need rules, Damien said, and we need to tell people about this place, about what we've built. There are more people out there stuck between life and death, trapped in loops, or fading away, who don't know they have another option. We need to reach them. How do we tell dead people about the kingdom? Maya asked. Damien smiled slightly. I have an idea, but it's going to require us to do something we haven't done since the kingdom was established. What's that? We need to go public, hold an open gate, invite anyone between life and death to visit and see what we've built. A festival, Eliza said excitedly. A celebration. We can show everyone what's possible. We can help so many people. It's ambitious, Damien said, and potentially dangerous. Opening the gates wide means we can't control who enters. We might get spirits who don't want peace, who bring chaos or pain. But if we can help even a fraction of those stuck between, it's worth the risk. Maya considered the implications. We'd need to prepare, create spaces for visitors, establish clear rules, make sure our anchors are strong enough to handle an influx of energy. And, Damien added quietly, you'd need to be ready to face questions about your choice to stay here. People will wonder why a living human would choose a realm of death. Let them wonder, Maya said firmly. I know why I'm here. I don't need to justify my choices to strangers. Damien's expression softened. Have I mentioned you're remarkable? Once or twice, Maya replied. They spent the next weeks preparing. Damien crafted formal invitations, messages sent through death magic to every spirit aware enough to receive them. The kingdom between life and death exists. If you are trapped between, if you are fading, if you seek purpose or peace, or simply a place to exist, come to the Festival of Balance. See what we have built. Choose if you wish to stay. The invitations rippled outward, through the realm of death like stones thrown in still water. Eliza coordinated the current residents, organizing them into welcoming committees, tour guides, and peacekeepers. She threw herself into planning with enthusiasm that reminded Maya why she'd been such a handful in life. Maya focused on stabilizing the anchors. She practiced pulling life force and death magic in larger quantities, weaving them together, creating a foundation strong enough to support hundreds or thousands of visitors without collapsing. It was exhausting work. Each night she fell into bed drained. Each morning she woke to Damien's concerned face. You're pushing too hard, he said one morning, bringing her tea that appeared from nowhere. You need to rest. I need to be strong enough, Maya countered. If this fails, if the kingdom collapses because I'm not powerful enough, it won't fail, Damien interrupted. We'll succeed or adjust, but I won't let you burn yourself out trying to be perfect. You're already enough. His words settled something anxious in her chest. She took the tea, sipped it, let the warmth ground her. Thank you, she said, for believing I'm enough, for never demanding I be more or less than what I am. Thank you for existing, Damien replied simply, for changing everything. They worked together in comfortable silence, and Maya realized she'd never felt more at peace. The day of the festival arrived. Though day was a relative term in the kingdom, time didn't work normally here. But they'd chosen a moment, prepared a space, and opened the gates wide. Spirits poured in, more than Maya had imagined. Hundreds. Then thousands. They came from every era, every culture, every walk of life and death. Some were recently dead, still confused about their transition. Others were ancient, their forms barely more than impressions. Children held the hands of parents who died decades apart. Soldiers from forgotten wars walked beside healers who'd fought different battles. Artists, and thieves, and teachers, and murderers. All of them between, all of them seeking. The festival grounds, conjured specifically for this event, sprawled across impossible geography. Pavilions demonstrated different aspects of the kingdom. In one, artists showed how to create with shadow and light. In another, musicians performed songs that existed only in memory. Gardens bloomed with flowers from dreams. Libraries offered knowledge from every age, and in the center, the throne room stood open. Damien sat on his throne, regal and powerful, with Eliza at his side and Maya standing beside them. A family, a kingdom, a choice. Spirits approached in waves, curious and cautious. Damien explained the kingdom's purpose. Maya demonstrated the life-death balance. Eliza charmed everyone with her enthusiasm. Many spirits asked the same question: why? Why create this place? What do you gain? Damien's answer never wavered. I gained my daughter back. I gained a family. I gained purpose beyond grief. This kingdom exists because death doesn't have to mean the end, and life doesn't have to mean separation. We offer a third option: existence in the between. By the end of the festival, over 300 spirits had chosen to stay. They petitioned to join the kingdom, to find purpose in the between, to exist somewhere that honored both what they'd lost and what they still could be. Damien accepted them all, though he warned it would be hard work. The kingdom required maintenance. Everyone contributed. Everyone had value. Everyone mattered. As the last visitors departed and the gates closed, exhaustion hit Maya like a wave. She swayed, and Damien caught her instantly. I've got you, he said. Always. Maya leaned into his support. We did it. We actually did it. We did, Damien agreed. And now, the real work begins. Integrating 300 new residents, establishing territories, creating structure from chaos. It's going to be magnificent and terrible and absolutely worth it. Eliza flickered beside them. You're both amazing. This kingdom is amazing. I'm so proud of what we've built. She paused, then added with exaggerated innocence, now kiss already. Eliza, Damien started. But Maya laughed. She was exhausted and exhilarated and surrounded by family in a kingdom they'd built from impossible magic. She turned in Damien's arms, looked up at his startled face, and made a choice. She kissed him. It wasn't dramatic or passionate. It was gentle, tentative. The brush of her warm lips against his cool ones. Life and death meeting, choosing each other. When they pulled apart, Damien looked stunned. Was that? Yes, Maya said. That was me choosing you. Not because I'm trapped. Not because you saved me. Because I want to. Because you see me. Because we've built something beautiful together. Because I. She hesitated. I love you, she finished. Both of you. This strange, impossible family. This kingdom between life and death. All of it. Damien's expression cracked open, vulnerable and joyful and terrified all at once. I love you too, he said. I didn't think I could feel this again. Didn't think I deserved it. But you taught me that death doesn't end love. It just changes it. Transforms it into something new. Finally, Eliza crowed. I thought I'd have to stage an intervention. They laughed, the three of them, in the throne room of their impossible kingdom. Around them, 300 new residents were settling into their spaces, finding purposes, choosing to exist in the between. And above them, somewhere in the cemetery, the world continued without knowing that beneath their feet, a kingdom thrived. A place where death wasn't the end, where life wasn't the only option, where love could bloom in the space between. Home. The kingdom's expansion brought unexpected challenges. 300 new residents meant 300 different needs, perspectives, and conflicts. Maya found herself mediating disputes she'd never imagined. A Victorian-era spirit insisted on strict moral codes that clashed with a 1970s artist's free-spirited approach. Children from different eras played together, but sometimes their games crossed into territories where older spirits wanted quiet. And everyone had opinions about how the kingdom should be run. "We need a council," Maya suggested one evening as she and Damien reviewed the day's conflicts. "Some kind of representative body. You can't make every decision alone." "I've been making decisions alone for 73 years, Damien pointed out. "True," Maya said. "And how lonely was that?" Damien paused. "Point taken. They established a council of 7, representatives chosen by different groups within the kingdom. An artist, a scholar, a child, a recent arrival, an ancient spirit, a peacekeeper, and Maya herself, representing the living anchor." Damien remained king, but he consulted the council on major decisions. The first council meeting was chaos. Everyone had ideas, some practical, some impossible, some well-intentioned but unworkable. Maya listened to them argue about territory boundaries, resource allocation, and whether emotions from life should be allowed to influence Death Realm interactions. Eventually, she stood. Everyone fell silent. "We're not trying to recreate life," she said firmly, "and we're not accepting death as final. We're building something new. That means compromise. That means accepting that the Victorian and the hippie both have valid perspectives, that children need play and elders need peace, that we're all between, and that's what unites us." The council members looked at each other. Slowly, they began to nod. "You're good at this," Damien said later, in the privacy of the throne room. "At leading, at bringing people together." "I learned from watching you," Maya replied. "You command death, but you do it by understanding what each spirit needs." I just applied that to the living side of things. Together they refined the kingdom's structure. Territory divisions, quiet zones and active areas, times for communal gathering and times for solitude. A system where everyone contributed based on their abilities and everyone received based on their needs. It wasn't perfect. Conflicts still arose. But they had a framework now. A way to address problems without everything collapsing. Eliza thrived in the expanded kingdom. She'd taken on the role of liaison to the children, both living memories and those who died young. She organized games that taught them how to exist in the between, how to manifest and fade, how to move between territories, how to find joy in existence that was neither alive nor dead. Maya watched her sometimes, this girl made of light, who'd been dead for 70 years, but had somehow retained the curiosity and enthusiasm of a 7-year-old. "How do you do it?" Maya asked one day. "Stay so hopeful? So joyful? When you've been gone so long," Eliza's light flickered thoughtfully. "I think it's because I never got to grow up the first time. I didn't get to become cynical or tired or bitter. I existed in the moment. And then I didn't exist at all, and now I exist again, but different. So I choose to keep existing in the moment, to find joy where I can, because what's the alternative? Being miserable for eternity? That seems like a waste. You're wiser than any 7-year-old should be," Maya said. "I've had 70 years to think," Eliza pointed out. "That helps." One day, a new arrival caused a stir in the kingdom. She appeared at the gates, a spirit barely holding form. Ancient. Powerful. Aware in a way that suggested she'd been between for a very long time without fading. Damien received her in the throne room, Maya and Eliza at his sides. The spirit solidified into the form of an elderly woman, her eyes sharp, despite her translucent state. "You're the necromancer king," she said. The one who's building a realm between. I had to see it for myself. You're welcome here, Damien replied, if you come in peace. I come seeking understanding, the woman said. I am Madame Thorn. I've been between for 200 years. I've watched kingdoms rise and fall in the living world while I existed in the cracks. I've never seen anything like what you've built. How is it stable? The anchors, Maya explained. Life and death in balance. I'm the life force. Damien is the death force. Together we create the equilibrium. Madame Thorn studied Maya with unsettling intensity. You're alive. Fully alive. Yet you choose to exist here? I do, Maya said firmly. Why? Because it's home. Because I'm valued here. Because I can help people here in ways I couldn't in the living world. Madame Thorn smiled, an expression both warm and calculating. Fascinating. You understand you're wasting your life? You could return to the surface. Live freely. Experience all the things the living take for granted. I experienced those things, Maya said. I experienced being invisible, being harassed, being dismissed. Here I matter. My life has purpose, even if it's spent underground with the dead. Especially because it's spent here, Maya corrected. The woman's expression shifted to something like respect. You found something rare. Purpose. Belonging. Most people search their entire lives for that and never find it. You found it in a tomb. The irony is exquisite. She turned to Damien. I wish to offer my services. I was a teacher in life, a philosopher in death. I can help train those who are new to the between, help them understand their existence, if you'll have me. Damien glanced at Maya, who nodded slightly. We welcome your expertise, he said. The kingdom grows daily. We can use experienced guides. Madame Thorn joined the council, bringing perspective from centuries of observation. She taught classes on existence, on the nature of being between, on how to maintain identity when flesh and time no longer anchored you. Under her guidance, the newest arrivals integrated faster, understood their transformations better, found peace more quickly. But she also asked questions, uncomfortable ones. One evening, she approached Maya in the garden. How long do you plan to stay here? She asked without preamble. Forever, Maya replied. I made that choice. And when your living friends wonder what happened to you? When your family. I don't have family, Maya interrupted. They're gone. And I didn't have friends, just co-workers who knew my name and customers who forgot it the moment I left their table. No one in the living world misses me. That's profoundly sad, Madame Thorn said gently. And also profoundly freeing. You've built a new life from nothing, created family from impossible circumstances, found love in the last place anyone would look. Maya flushed. I don't. Your feelings for the king are obvious, Madame Thorn said, as are his for you. I'm not criticizing, I'm observing. You've done what most people only dream of. You found your place. But what? Have you considered what happens when you die? Maya went still. She hadn't. Not really. When you die, Madame Thorn continued, you'll become like us. Between. No longer the life anchor. Will the kingdom survive without you? We'd find another anchor, Maya said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Would you? Madame Thorn asked. Life anchors aren't common. Most living people flee from death. You're extraordinary in your willingness to embrace it. When you transition to death, the balance shifts. Unless Damien finds another living person willing to stay forever in a tomb. Unless you're careful about succession planning, the kingdom you've built might collapse the moment you die. Maya had never considered this. She'd been so focused on the present, on building and maintaining and helping, that she hadn't thought about the future. What do I do? She asked. Plan, Madame Thorn said. Find potential successors. Living people who might be willing to take your place someday. Or find a way to extend your life long enough to establish the kingdom so firmly that it can survive without you. How would I extend my life? Death magic can preserve, Madame Thorne said. Damien keeps bodies from decay. Could he keep your body from aging? Keep you alive indefinitely? That sounds like becoming undead, Maya said. Like what he is. Would that be so terrible? Madame Thorne asked. You love him. He loves you. If you became like him, truly between, you could exist together for centuries. Build the kingdom without the clock ticking on your mortality. I need to think about this, Maya said. Of course, Madame Thorne said. Take your time. But not too much time. Mortality waits for no one. Maya carried the conversation to Damien that night. They sat in his study, surrounded by books and bones and the comfortable clutter of his research. Can you do it? She asked. Make me like you? Extend my life indefinitely? Damien was quiet for a long moment. Yes, he said finally. I could. I've researched the process for decades. I could preserve you between life and death. You'd stop aging, stop dying. You'd become like me. But Maya, there's no going back. Once you cross that threshold, you can never be fully alive again. Would I be dead? Not dead, Damien said. Between. Like I am. Aware. Feeling. Existing. But not alive in the way you are now. No heartbeat unless you remember to make it beat. No need for food or sleep except as comfort. No connection to the living world except through magic. You'd be giving up your humanity. For what? Maya asked. For immortality? For you? For the kingdom? All of those, Damien said. But only if it's what you want. Not what you think I want. Not what the kingdom needs. What you genuinely want for yourself. Maya thought about Madame Thorne's words. About succession planning. About the kingdom collapsing when she died. About centuries of existing beside Damien and Eliza. I don't know, she admitted. I love being here. I love what we've built. But giving up my humanity feels permanent. It is permanent, Damien agreed. Which is why you shouldn't rush the decision. Live, Maya. Exist as you are. We'll find a solution that doesn't require you to give up what makes you yourself. But what if the kingdom will survive or adapt? Damien interrupted. We've built something strong. If it can't survive your natural lifespan, then it wasn't strong enough. I won't ask you to sacrifice your humanity for a kingdom. You built your entire existence around trying to save Eliza, Maya pointed out. That was grief and desperation, Damien said. This is different. This is asking someone I love to give up a fundamental part of themselves. I won't do it. Not even for the kingdom. Not even for forever. Something warm bloomed in Maya's chest. You really mean that? I really do, Damien said. He took her hands. Maya, you've given me more than I ever hoped for. You brought my daughter back. You helped me build a kingdom. You taught me how to be alive again even while being dead. I won't repay that by stealing your life. We'll find another way. Together? Maya asked. Together, Damien confirmed. Always together. The solution came from an unexpected source. Eliza. She'd been unusually quiet for several days, flickering in and out of visibility even during council meetings. Maya finally found her in the music room, sitting beside the piano that played memories instead of notes. What's wrong, little star? Maya asked, borrowing Damien's nickname for her. Eliza's light dimmed. I heard what Madame Thorne said, about you dying someday, about the kingdom maybe collapsing. I don't want to lose you. You won't lose me, Maya said gently. When I die, I'll become like you. Between. We'll still be together, but you'll be different. Eliza said. You won't be the life anchor anymore. The kingdom might fall apart. And even if it doesn't, you won't be Maya anymore. Not the same Maya. You'll be. She struggled for words. You'll be dead, Maya. Not alive, Maya. And I like alive, Maya. I don't want her to go away. Maya pulled Eliza close, or as close as she could to a girl made of light. The embrace was more intention than contact, but somehow that made it more real. I don't want to go away either, Maya whispered, but everyone dies eventually. That's the deal with being alive. What if it didn't have to be? Eliza asked. What if there was a way to keep you alive forever without making you undead? What if we could find another anchor, someone to share the life force with you? Then, when you get old, they take over, and you could retire from being the anchor, but still be alive. That's actually brilliant, Maya said. But where would we find another living person willing to do this? We find someone who needs us as much as we need them, Eliza said. Like you needed us, someone running from something, someone who needs safety, someone who'd choose the between because the living world failed them. Like I did, Maya realized. We find another me. The idea took root. They began paying attention to the living world in new ways. Damien extended his senses to the cemetery above, listening for desperate prayers, for begging, for the kind of broken pleading that had brought Maya to his door. Months passed. The kingdom continued to thrive. Maya learned to balance her roles as council member, life anchor, and partner to Damien. Their relationship had settled into something comfortable and profound. They worked together during the day, maintained the kingdom's balance, mediated disputes. At night, they'd sit together in quiet companionship, sometimes talking, sometimes just existing in the same space. He taught her more advanced death magic. She taught him to laugh without guilt. They built a life together in a kingdom of death. Eliza remained the heart of their small family. She'd organized the children into a thriving community, teaching them joy and purpose. She'd started a tradition of nightly storytelling, where spirits from different eras would share their lives. She'd created celebration days for those who wanted to mark their death anniversaries, not with mourning, but with recognition of transformation. And she kept searching for signs of someone who needed them. The signal came on a Tuesday, or what Maya thought was probably a Tuesday. Time remained fluid in the between. Damien sensed it first. His head snapped up during a council meeting, his eyes going distant. Someone's at the gate. Someone living. Someone terrified. They found her collapsed against the mausoleum door. A woman, maybe 19. Her lips split, her eye swelling shut, blood on her shirt that might or might not be hers. She was gasping out broken prayers. Please. Please let me in. Please hide me. He'll kill me this time. I know he will. Please, anywhere. Anywhere but out here. Please. Damien opened the door. The woman fell through, landing hard on the tomb's stone floor. She scrambled backward, eyes wild, searching for threats. Where? What? You're safe, Maya said, kneeling slowly, carefully, the way you'd approach a wounded animal. You're inside. He can't reach you here. Who can't reach you? The woman's eyes focused on Maya. Recognized another living human. My boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. I tried to leave him. Her voice cracked. He said if he couldn't have me, no one could. I believed him, so I ran. I'm Jenna, Maya said gently. I ran too, from someone who wouldn't let me go. I ended up here, in this tomb. These people saved me. They can save you too, if you want. The woman looked around, took in the impossible corridor stretching behind Maya, the blue gold light, the throne room visible in the distance. What is this place? It's hard to explain, Maya said. But basically, it's a kingdom between life and death, run by a necromancer king who offers sanctuary to those who need it. The catch is, If you accept his protection, you can never leave. You stay here forever." The woman laughed. It came out slightly hysterical. "A tomb where I'm stuck forever sounds better than 10 more minutes out there with him. I accept. Whatever the deal is. Whatever the price. I accept." Damien appeared behind Maya, and the woman flinched, but she didn't run. She just stared up at him with desperate hope in her eyes. "You'll be safe here," Damien said. "No one can harm you within these walls. But Maya is right. This is permanent. You need to understand what you're agreeing to before." "I understand," the woman interrupted. "I understand that out there, I'm already dead. I'm just waiting for it to happen. Here, at least I'll be safe while I'm waiting, and maybe that's enough." Damien's expression softened. He'd heard similar words from Maya months ago. "Welcome, then, to the kingdom between." They gave the woman, Sarah, Eliza's old room after carefully asking Eliza if she minded. Eliza had been delighted. "Another person who chose us," she'd exclaimed. "Another person who needed safety. This is perfect." Sarah adapted quickly. She was wary at first, expecting the safety to be an illusion, expecting cruelty hidden under kindness. But days passed, and no one demanded anything from her. No one expected her to be anything but herself. Slowly, she began to believe she was really safe. Maya worked with her, teaching her about the kingdom, about the balance, about what it meant to exist in the between. And she asked carefully if Sarah would be interested in learning to be a life anchor. "Why me?" Sarah asked. "I'm nobody. I'm just a girl who ran away." "So was I," Maya said, "but I learned that being the life anchor isn't about who you were. It's about who you're willing to become. It's about choosing to stay. Choosing to help maintain the balance. Choosing to be part of something bigger than yourself." Sarah considered this. What would it involve? Training, Maya said. Learning to sense life force. Learning to pull it and shape it. Learning to work with Damien's death magic to create balance. It would take years. But eventually, you could take over as the primary anchor. And I could. Could what? Sarah asked. Live, Maya said simply. Actually live. Age naturally. Die naturally. Without worrying that my death will collapse the kingdom. Because you'd be here to maintain it. I'd like that, Sarah said slowly. Having purpose. Being important to something. I've never been important before. You're important now, Maya said. The fact that you survived, that you're here, that you're choosing to stay. That's important. Sarah became Maya's apprentice. They worked together daily. Sarah learning to sense the threads of life force that Maya drew from the world above. It was harder for Sarah than it had been for Maya. She'd been beaten down for so long that connecting to life felt foreign. But she persisted. And gradually, she improved. Damien helped, teaching both of them more advanced techniques. The three of them would work in synchronization, weaving life and death together in increasingly complex patterns, strengthening the kingdom's foundation, preparing for the eventual transition. Eliza adopted Sarah as an honorary sister, teaching her how to find joy again, how to laugh without flinching, how to trust that kindness was real and not a trap. Madame Thorne approved of the arrangement. Well done, she told Maya. You've ensured succession. The kingdom will survive beyond you now. Beyond all of us, Maya corrected. That's the point. We're building something that doesn't depend on any one person, something that can outlast us. That's the most beautiful kind of creation, Madame Thorne said. The kind that doesn't need its creator to continue. You've built a true kingdom. 1 year after Sarah's arrival, they held a ceremony. A formal recognition of Sarah as the apprentice life anchor. A promise that when Maya was ready to step back, Sarah would take her place. The kingdom gathered in the throne room, hundreds of spirits who'd found home in the between. Damien stood on his throne, regal in his power. Maya stood beside him, the life anchor. Sarah knelt before them, ready to take her vows, and Eliza, made of light and love, presided over the ceremony with solemn joy. "Do you, Sarah Chen, choose to serve as life anchor?" Eliza asked. "To maintain the balance between life and death? To give your living energy to this kingdom in exchange for sanctuary, purpose, and belonging?" "I do," Sarah said. Her voice was clear, certain. "Will you train faithfully? Will you learn to work in harmony with the death anchor? Will you eventually assume the role of primary life anchor, allowing Maya to transition to whatever life she chooses?" "I will," Sarah said. "Then, by the power of this kingdom between," Eliza declared, "I recognize you as apprentice life anchor. May you find purpose in service. May you find safety in these walls. May you find family among the between." The kingdom erupted in celebration. Spirits flickered and danced. Music played from nowhere and everywhere. The blue-gold light pulsed in rhythm with hundreds of hearts that beat only in memory. Maya felt something release in her chest, the weight of responsibility she'd been carrying alone. The knowledge that the kingdom's survival didn't rest solely on her anymore. She could breathe. She could plan for a future that included aging, dying, and the kingdom continuing without her. Damien found her after the ceremony. "You did it," he said. "Ensured the kingdom's future." "We did it," Maya corrected. "All of us. Together." Damien pulled her close. "I'm so grateful," he said quietly. "For you. For what you've built. For teaching me that letting go doesn't mean losing everything. Sometimes it means gaining something better." "Like what?" Maya asked. "Like trust," Damien said. "Like family. Like knowing that what we've created is strong enough to survive beyond us. That's not loss. That's legacy." They stood together in their kingdom, surrounded by spirits celebrating, Eliza dancing with Sarah, Madame Thorne observing with approval, and Maya realized she'd found something she hadn't even known she was searching for. Not just safety, not just purpose, but the knowledge that what she'd built would outlast her. That her choice to run into a tomb one desperate night had created ripples that would continue long after she was gone. That her life, which had felt so small and invisible in the living world, had become significant in the between. "We should expand," she said suddenly. Damien looked at her. "What?" "The kingdom," Maya said. "We should expand it, not just wait for desperate people to find us. We should actively reach out, create safe houses in other places, build a network of between realms, give more people the choice we've been given." "That's ambitious," Damien said, "and complicated, and probably impossible." "So was everything else we've done," Maya pointed out. "But we did it anyway." Damien smiled. "You're remarkable, you know that?" "You tell me frequently," Maya said. "But I appreciate the reminder. Let's build something bigger. Together." "Together," Damien agreed, "for as long as we have." 5 years after Maya first stumbled into the tomb, the kingdom between had become something extraordinary. What started as one mausoleum had expanded into a network of safe havens across multiple locations. Damien had discovered that anywhere with enough death energy, anywhere the living rarely went, could become a gateway. Old hospitals, abandoned prisons, forgotten graveyards. Each location housed a smaller kingdom, all connected to the central realm beneath the original cemetery. Each had its own caretakers, both living anchors and death anchors working in pairs to maintain balance. Maya had trained 12 living anchors over those 5 years. People like her and Sarah. People who'd been running from abuse, stalking, violence. Situations where the living world had failed them. She taught them to sense life force, to weave it with death magic, to create pockets of safety for those who needed them. Sarah had become the primary life anchor for the original kingdom 3 years ago. Maya had stepped back gradually, training others, expanding the network, no longer shouldered with maintaining the original realm alone. She still lived in the tomb, still worked alongside Damien, but now she had time. Time to actually live, even in a kingdom of death. She'd learned to paint from the artists, learned music from spirits who'd been composers, learned a dozen languages from those who'd died across centuries. She'd grown and changed in ways she never could have in the living world. Damien had changed too. The grief that had defined him for 73 years had transformed into something gentler. He still mourned his daughter's death, still carried the weight of that loss, but it no longer consumed him. Eliza's presence, her joy, her continued existence in the between, had healed something fundamental in him. He smiled easily now, laughed often, led the kingdom not from isolated authority but from genuine connection with his people, and he and Maya had built something neither quite named, but both understood. Love, yes, but more than that. Partnership. A bond forged in impossible magic and sustained through years of working in synchronization. They existed in harmony, life and death choosing each other daily. Eliza had grown too, in the way spirits could grow. Not older, she'd remain 7 forever, but deeper, wiser. She'd become the kingdom's heart. The reminder that death didn't mean the end of growth, change, or possibility. On what might have been a Saturday, Maya sat in the garden with Damien and Eliza. The garden had become vast over the years, acres of impossible plants that existed in multiple states simultaneously, flowers that bloomed and wilted in the same moment, trees that grew up and down, grass that was both green with life and brown with decay. It was beautiful and strange and absolutely perfect. Madame Thorne found them there. She manifested beside the bench, her ancient spirit form more solid than usual. "I have news," she said. "The council has been discussing expansion limits. Some spirits believe we're growing too quickly, that we risk destabilizing the entire network. Others argue we should grow faster, reach more people who need us." "What do you think?" Damien asked. "I think," Madame Thorne said carefully, "that you've built something remarkable, a genuine alternative to the binary of life and death. But I also think you need to consider the long game. What happens in 50 years? 100? When all the current anchors are gone? We train new ones," Maya said. "We've established succession protocols. Every realm has apprentices. The knowledge won't be lost. But the vision might be," Madame Thorne said. "The passion, the understanding of why this matters. You 3, she gestured at Maya, Damien, and Eliza, built this from lived experience, from desperate need. Future generations won't have that same urgency. They might let the kingdoms stagnate. Or worse, they might corrupt them. Use them for power instead of sanctuary." "Then we write it down," Eliza said. "We document everything. Why we built this, what it means, how it should be maintained. We create a foundation that outlasts us. A philosophy, not just a structure." "You really have grown up," Madame Thorne said with approval. "Even while staying 7, I've had good teachers," Eliza said, looking at her father and Maya. They spent the next months creating documentation. Not just practical guides, though those too, but philosophical texts, explanations of the kingdom's purpose, personal testimonies from those who'd found sanctuary, stories of transformation, healing, and choice. They gathered accounts from every spirit who'd been healed by the kingdom, every living person who'd found safety. They documented the failures too, the spirits who'd chosen to move on, the living people who'd eventually left, deciding they were ready to face the world again. The experiments that hadn't worked, the conflicts that had torn communities apart before they'd learned better governance. It was honest and comprehensive and utterly vulnerable. "We're giving future generations everything," Damien said, looking at the compiled volumes. Our successes and failures. Our hopes and fears. Our complete truth. That's the only way to ensure they understand, Maya said. If we pretend we were perfect, they'll think they need to be perfect too. If we show them we struggled and adapted and grew, they'll know they can too. The documentation was stored in every realm, accessible to all who sought it. And beside it, they placed something more personal. A memorial wall. Names of everyone who'd contributed to building the kingdoms, living and dead, recent and ancient. Every person who'd chosen to be part of something bigger than themselves. Maya Thorne's name was there, with a note, Life Anchor. Teacher, reminder that choosing death doesn't mean giving up on life. Damien Ashcroft, Death Anchor. King, proof that love survives beyond death. Eliza Ashcroft, Heart of the Kingdom. Eternal child who taught us that transformation doesn't require growing up. Sarah Chen, Life Anchor. Example of how victims can become builders. Madame Thorne, Philosopher. Bridge between past and future. And hundreds more, thousands, as the years went on. One evening, Maya stood before the memorial wall in the original kingdom. She was 35 now, nearly twice the age she'd been when she first ran into the tomb. She had gray streaks in her hair, from stress and joy in equal measure. Wrinkles at the corners of her eyes from smiling. She was aging, and it was beautiful. Damien found her there. Thinking about mortality? He asked gently. Thinking about legacy, Maya corrected. I'm going to die someday. Maybe soon, maybe in 50 years. But when I do, this will remain. She gestured at the wall, at the kingdom beyond. Everything we built, everyone we helped. That continues. Does it bother you? Damien asked. Knowing you'll die while I continue? Not the way I thought it would, Maya admitted. I used to think death was an ending, a tragedy, but now I know it's just a transformation. I'll become between. Like you. Like Eliza. We'll still be together. Just differently. You could become like me sooner, Damien offered. The preservation magic. I could transform you now. Keep you from aging. We'd have eternity together. Maya had considered this offer countless times over the years. Damien asked periodically, always making it clear it was her choice. She'd always declined. I want to age, she said. I want to experience a full human life. I missed so much, running from Marcus, hiding in fear. Now I have safety and time. I want to use it. I want to get old, naturally. Die naturally. And then, when I'm between like you, we'll have our eternity. I can wait, Damien said. I've waited 73 years alone. I can wait another 50, knowing you'll eventually join me. They stood together before the memorial wall. Life and death in partnership. Planning for a future that included both separation and reunion. Eliza appeared beside them. Are you two being morbid again? She asked. Realistic, Maya corrected. Planning, Damien added. Same thing, Eliza said, but that's okay. Planning is good. Speaking of which, she turned to Maya. When are you going to visit the surface? The surface, Maya repeated. The living world, Eliza clarified. You haven't been up there in 5 years. Don't you want to see it? Feel sunshine? Walk under real sky instead of remembered ones? I don't need to, Maya said. Everything I need is here. But maybe you want to, Eliza pressed. Just to visit, to remember what you're choosing to leave behind. To make sure you're still choosing it actively, not just from habit. She had a point. Maya had gotten so comfortable in the kingdom that she'd stopped questioning her choice to stay. Maybe it was time to test it. Okay, she said. I'll go up. Just for a day. Damien looked alarmed. Alone? With me, he said quickly. If you go, I go. We'll go together. They surfaced at dawn. The mausoleum door opened onto a cemetery, transformed by 5 years. The graves were better maintained now. Someone had planted flowers. The old fence had been repaired. The world had continued without them. Maya stepped out onto grass wet with dew. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold she'd forgotten existed. The air was fresh and cold and alive with birdsong. It's beautiful, she whispered. Damien stood beside her in the shadow of the mausoleum. He couldn't venture far from it, couldn't walk freely in sunlight, but he could stand at the threshold. Watch Maya experience the living world. Is it how you remembered? He asked. Better, Maya said. And also. Also? Less, she admitted. It's beautiful, but it's empty. There's no one here I know. No one who sees me. Down below I have family. Purpose. Community. Up here I'm just another person watching the sunrise. You could have this again, Damien said quietly. If you wanted. You could leave the kingdom. Live in the sun. Find other people. Build a different life. I know, Maya said. That's what makes staying a choice. She turned to face him. I choose you. I choose Eliza. I choose the kingdom and everyone in it. Not because I'm trapped. Not because I'm afraid. But because that's where I belong. Damien's expression cracked open with emotion. You're sure? Completely sure, Maya said. She took his hand, pulled him back toward the tomb. Let's go home. They descended together, leaving the sunrise behind. When they reached the throne room, Eliza was waiting with news. 3 new people are at the gates, she announced. 2 living, 1 spirit. They're asking for sanctuary. All 3 are running from situations where the living world failed them. We have room? Maya asked. We always have room, Damien replied. That's the point. They went to meet the new arrivals together. A family, a king of death, a living woman choosing the between, and a child made of light. They welcomed the newcomers, explained the kingdom, offered choice and safety and belonging. And the kingdom continued to grow. Years passed. Maya trained more anchors. Damien refined the magic. Eliza organized celebrations and education programs. Sarah expanded the network to new locations. Madame Thorne documented everything. The memorial wall filled with names. When Maya turned 50, they held a celebration. The entire kingdom gathered to honor her 20 years of service, 20 years of being the original life anchor, 20 years of building sanctuary for those who needed it. She stood before hundreds of spirits and dozens of living anchors, overwhelmed by what they'd created. I was just running, she said, just trying to survive. I stumbled into a tomb and begged for help. I had no idea it would become this. That's how all great things start, Madame Thorne said. With one desperate person making one impossible choice. Your choice to stay, to help, to build. It rippled outward, and now thousands of people have sanctuary. Because you chose the between. Maya looked at Damien, who smiled at her with pride and love. At Eliza, who flickered with joy. At Sarah and all the other anchors who'd followed her path. At the spirits who'd found peace. This is my legacy, she thought. Not the life I lost, but the kingdom I helped build. Years continued to pass. Maya's hair went completely gray. Her joints ached on cold days. She moved slower, tired faster, but her mind remained sharp. She'd lived a full life in the kingdom between. Loved and was loved. Built something that would outlast her. Made choices that mattered. On her 70th birthday, she gathered Damien and Eliza in the garden. "I'm ready," she said. "Ready for what?" Eliza asked, though her light flickered with understanding. "Ready to transition," Maya said. "To become between like you. I've lived a full human life. Longer than I would have if I'd stayed in the living world, probably. And now I want eternity with you both." "Are you certain?" Damien asked. His voice was careful, controlled, but his eyes shone with emotion. "I'm certain," Maya said. "I've had 70 years to think about it. 20 in the kingdom, 50 before. I know what I'm choosing. I'm choosing forever with the people I love." The transformation took place at midnight, under impossible stars. Maya lay in Eliza's old room, surrounded by everyone she'd taught, everyone she'd helped, everyone who'd become family. Damien performed the magic he'd perfected over decades, the spell that would preserve her between life and death. Not alive, not dead, but something new. It didn't hurt. It felt like falling asleep and waking up simultaneously. Maya felt her heartbeat slow, then stop. Felt her breath cease. Felt her living warmth fade, and then felt something new rushing in. The blue-gold light of the between. Life and death merged. She opened her eyes. The room looked different, sharper somehow, more real. She could see threads of magic connecting everything. Could sense the kingdom's structure. Could feel every spirit, every anchor, every pocket of balance throughout the network. She sat up, looked at her hands. They were translucent now, made of light, like Eliza, but older light, mature light, the light of someone who'd lived fully before choosing transformation. "Maya," Damien breathed. "How do you feel?" "Free," Maya said. She stood, tested her new form. She could solidify or fade at will, could move through walls or walk on solid ground, could exist in multiple places simultaneously if she concentrated. "I'm really between now." "We all are," Eliza said, taking her hand. One big between family. The kingdom celebrated Maya's transformation. Not as a death, but as a choice. As a woman, completing her journey from desperate survival to eternal purpose. And in the years that followed, Maya and Damien ruled the kingdom together. Not as king and consort, but as equals. Partners in maintaining the balance. In welcoming new souls. In building sanctuary for those between life and death. Eliza remained their heart. Sarah took over training new anchors. Madame Thorne documented the continued growth. And the memorial wall grew longer, recording everyone who chose the between. The kingdom between life and death thrived. A testament to one desperate night when a waitress begged for sanctuary and a lonely king said yes. A reminder that death doesn't have to mean the end, that life doesn't have to mean separation, that love can bloom anywhere, even in a tomb, especially in a tomb, where the between becomes home.